Good morning, guys. This is Lorraine Brock with Get Organized, and today is Tip Tuesday.
Oh my gosh.
And you can see that I'm with him.
So we know the numbers are going to skyrocket today.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is my husband, Keith, and he is going to keep his eye on the road.
Yes, I am.
And just look handsome.
Oh, wow.
There and drive safely.
Okay.
We had to take Tip Tuesday on the road this morning because we are heading to Austin for some paperwork to go to the airport or
Stuff.
Yeah. So we're heading down to Austin to take care of business and then head back. So we are making this a Tip Tuesday episode on the road. I think there's a lot of didn't there used to be TV shows on, they take it on the road?
Mm-hmm.
For country.
I got nothing.
Anyone, don't you remember For Country?
I'll leave that to you.
I used to watch it growing up as a kid.
Oh
They'd go on the road with For Country.
Wow.
And then they would shoot pictures of
Stuff.
Okay, anyway. Okay, so this is Tip Tuesday, and we are going to talk today about getting honey to do his honeydews. And now this could work both ways, right?
Yeah. Why so much attention on me?
Because it is my Tip Tuesday show.
There it is.
But either way, we are going to talk both ways. I'm going to be open to helpful encouragement. There could be much growth opportunity by people watching today's Tip Tuesday.
Yes.
All right, so before we start, let me sort of give you the premise of why I wanted to do something like this. When I do a lot of public speaking, majority of the people that I speak to by default, just because of the subject that it is, organizing or time management, normally falls to probably 80% of the people that come to my talks are female. They often have questions that relate to their spouse of how do you get them to get motivated, to want to start taking some action, however you want to put it, of getting something organized or cleaned out. And often these are people that are either newly motivated themselves, and maybe I motivated them from a talk, or they have been motivated for some time and they struggle with getting their spouse to be able to join in, because it's hard to make decisions with somebody else's stuff. I mean, I know with you have a lot of computer stuff, and I wouldn't know what half of it, or probably more than half of that stuff is.
Yep.
And I can't make decisions about his stuff if we're not working together. So we're going to talk about that and sort of see how we handle things. Now, granted, our dynamic might be totally different than yours, but I want Keith to answer this not only from his own perspective, but also what he thinks might help motivate or, engage others. Now, I will say before we get started that a lot of the motivation and a lot of the take action, I believe personally, comes from how they were raised. Not necessarily in 100% across the board, but if your spouse was raised in an environment where they was responsible, had to keep things up, and they're used to living in that kind of environment, and then when they get their own place, many times they're motivated to keep their own place looking nice. Now, I'm not talking perfection, I'm just talking picked up. But if they were raised in an environment that they didn't have to do very much, there wasn't responsibilities of them cleaning their own room or keeping up the house, the parents allowed them to live there and not contribute, or if you want to call it being lazy, that will definitely have an impact in their adulthood. So you have to also look at that. But that is definitely not an excuse to not taking care of your own property and your own home. That is just, it's something you got to push through a little bit more. So I want to start off with the first thing that we've been doing lately. And they're not necessarily going to be tips. We're just going to talk about different things. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the redo of your room.
Yes.
So we've been in our home 20 years, and my husband has a computer room. And you'll hear our nav system. We have to keep it or we'll get lost. We have a home that's been 20 years, and we've turned one of the rooms into a computer room. Now, for a long time, probably what you say, a year or two, that room's looked pretty shabby.
Less than optimal would be better verbiage.
Okay. In fact, I've made comments numerous times that
there was a room unbefitting of
an
a
organized
woman who owns a professional organizing company.
And the thing is, it was right at the front door.
Yeah. Like I said, less than optimal.
And he agreed with that. And I had verbally mentioned probably 20 times over the course of the last probably year.
Sure.
That I had said this needs to be, you need to get in here and clean this up. And I had even mentioned about helping him. I mentioned about, setting a day. But he was not interested. And, he's a grown man. Can't make him do it.
Well, I was interested, not to sound offensive, but I think this is something that we can segue into, knowing what the topic was for this Tip Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so for me, this isn't just a typical room. It's as atypical as they come. As an IT professional, you're probably easily 6 figures of computer equipment and rack mount servers and all of this kind of stuff in that room. And when you have an investment like that, hopefully you make sure that room can accommodate ultimately the purpose of the room. And I think one thing for us that we didn't do is afford any opportunity for storage in a room like that. And inevitably it's going to generate everything from printouts to feeds to whatever that might be. And if the room can equip to store that kind of stuff, or parts or other parts or motherboards, whatever that might be, it's like, where do you put this stuff? But it's stuff that's really required for the operation of we affectionately called it the studio, for it to work as designed. And so it was a design issue because it was a room that had no storage afforded to it at all.
Okay, so let me say that is true. It had poor storage. So you're saying because you didn't have the storage you need or needed, that you opted to do nothing until you have the funds to do it.
Right. Well, I think it led ultimately to then over time, so then naturally any available desk space became, multiple inboxes, right? So a 1/4 inch stack of paper became a 1/2 inch, became 2 inch, became 6 inches. I mean, you can see how embarrassing that is and how quickly it can just get out of control over time. And so for me, I think it just got to the point to where it was going to be a Herculean effort to get it back to a level that it needed to be, it should be, and it's acceptable for both of us. Not just Lorraine as a professional organizer owning that company, but we're both, always called, neat freaks and everything else that you would want to be associated with that. And so we're clean, we're organized, and there's a lot of benefits for that, the efficiency, everything else, right? And so it just got to a point that was so out of control that there wasn't any simple fix. And with the aging of the room and equipment and everything else, it literally needed to be completely redone. And that's what I was really waiting for, that event horizon where we would allocate the funds and do it right.
But I have to say, let's just say that you're right. You didn't want to do anything until you could do it right. The issue with that is that you could say that with the entire home.
Sure. I mean, you got to be careful that you don't use that as a catch-all, right?
Right. And the other thing, too, is when you started going through your piles of papers and your stashes and boxes and piles, I mean, you came away with a lot of trash that really could have been gone through. I'm just speaking to the average person here. That really could have been gone through and gotten rid of and increase the space in that room. I think you took out like easy 4 bags of trash.
Yeah, I think
easy.
I think some of it is the timeliness of that information. So what I mean by that, so papers that contributed to 6-inch stacks of papers on desks, that when they were put there, they were fairly valuable, and the information was fairly valuable and needed. And to your point, they just kind of withered on the vine of that stack, into where when we finally got to it, it's like, what the French toast is going on, right? This is
so with you. And again, the topic today is trying to get motivating your honey to do the honeydews. So when I give you, let's
that one's not as much as a honeydew.
That's more of a project.
Yeah, that's a project.
Even we're not done with this project. So this project is turned into some honeydews because there's a lot to do. There's things coming out of the room that he wants to sell.
Yep.
Things that's coming out of the room that he needs to go through to see if he still wants. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. So
it's the worst. Honeydews beget honeydews. It's a trap, guys. It's a trap, I tell you.
Get out of it. Get out of it. So what motivates you? What do I do?
Yeah, I think that's the question, right? What do you do?
What do I do?
Because I'm self-motivated.
Yeah, he's self-motivated.
As
But
a clean freak.
let's just say a honey is not self-motivated. What could I do as a spouse, or what do I do that helps motivate you to put something into play?
Well, I would say, gosh, well, this is really from the hip. And it might sound overly sensitive or trivial, but oh my gosh, it's all in the way you ask. So,
which also can be a demotivator.
Right? So for the women listening, from the man perspective, I mean, the sweeter you can ask, boy, the easier it is, right? It's like, what is it? A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down?
And for you, the medicine is cleaning the room out.
Yeah, well, whatever your honeydew is, I mean, if it's stuff that I like, it doesn't require as much prodding, right? So for those who don't know, as a technologist, right? So if it's technical, if it's electrical wiring, if it's stuff like that, I'm all over it, right? So, I mean, she doesn't have to ask, I get it done. But if it's other stuff, right, and you work 100-hour work weeks, and then now you got that stuff that you need to do, and it's not stuff you really want to do, hey, the more pleasing the way you can phrase it and request it to be done, or have a good attitude about it, that really helps.
So if I start doing this, what do you do?
Yeah, that's just not...
You sort of shut down.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
He shuts down. So tip number 2 is don't nag. Don't nag. Don't nag.
You don't want to be rude in saying that, but don't get to a point. I mean, everybody's adults, right? I'll let you deal with how you would do with children, right? Teenagers, whatever. But since we're talking adult, you're doing honeydews. I mean, the worst thing you can do is nag. Don't nag.
Be sweet. Be sweet.
Be sweet, and stress the urgency that it is to you. And I think that's on the other end. Hey, guys, be mature enough to be sensitive enough that based on the frequency and the cadence of the request of the honeydew, come on.
I mean, she's
right?
give her a break.
Give her a break, man up, and get it done.
You're my bride. I should be able to be willing to help you.
That's right.
And do your request.
It shouldn't be pulling teeth, and be be that guy who kind of takes the pulse and says, oh my gosh, she's really expending a lot of effort orchestrating me getting this done. Really? I'm going to be that guy? I'm going to be that husband? No. Yeah. Right? That's unacceptable. And so you take ownership on it. You fall on your sword. It can be painful. Fall on it. Get it done.
So how you say it? I would say that tip number 2 then would be what motivates him. Like, I have to think about what motivates him to get him to do things. And this is, I don't want to call it manipulation because it's not.
Oh, no. It's manipulation. So whatever. When she says she doesn't want to call it manipulation, it's a manipulation. Because are we transparent?
It's encouraging.
Because a lot of times,
it's encouraging.
It's husband and wife things is a motivator.
That is not true.
So yes, that's manipulation. The other one is, all right to a man's heart. How do you get to man's heart?
Things like that.
How do you get to man's heart? Through his stomach. Through his stomach. So the other one's food, right? So if there's something you've been wanting and you haven't you haven't made that in a while,
French
you'll
toast.
usually say,
Okay.
hey, I'll make French toast in the morning if you'll get XYZ honeydew list done. See, girls, that's a full
Yes, that
transparency.
is true.
It's
That
right
is true.
there. She hasn't made me French
food's a
toast.
motivator.
She hasn't made me French toast in 3 freaking months, but if
It's
she
unhealthy.
wants a honeydew done, all of a sudden there's like 5 loaves of Texas toast bread ready to be made into amazing French toast.
Okay, so
Just saying.
there is motivators.
There is
So
manipulators.
it's how you say it, and there's motivators. He calls it manipulators. But think of the things that your honey would like you to do. Back rubs.
I'm just driving.
Drive.
I'm just driving.
Back rubs.
Just stop. Next. Number 3. There's got to be a 3 here somewhere. Well, I'll
Back
do.
rubs. What else?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so how you ask, motivators, and then the third thing, I think, okay, so a few years ago we took, and I'm sort of laughing with tears, a few years ago we were out in the garage and we were working through a project of all kinds of electronic cables and adapters and, you know, remember that.
I remember it.
I said, let's just knock it out on a Saturday. And you're like, no, I'm not taking my whole Saturday to go do this. And I'm like, okay, so let's get out there and work, and then I'll come in and cook breakfast, and we'll be done, you know, or just make it like a half day. And you were okay with that, though. You were
give me some light at the end of the
I
tunnel.
want to knock it out the entire day. Just get out there, do it, be done with it. And he wants to drag this thing out, and it just
Stages.
Like,
any big project requires phases.
I just want to do it.
Phase 1, phase 2,
whatever.
phase 3.
You're every weekend. You're busy then. So anyway, I conceded, and we did the half a day because I needed him out there. It was his stuff. Made him a good breakfast. Yes, I did.
See?
It was only breakfast.
Well, last time in the last 6 months, I've gotten French toast.
So anyway, he was out there, and towards the end, he was like done. Well, the last Saturday that we were doing this and wrapping it all up, there was still a box or a bag or two that hadn't been done. And he goes, I'm just done for the day. I was like, okay, you know, we're done for the day.
Done. Tapped out.
You were walking in the house, and I turned around and I said, well, we don't have another Saturday scheduled. When can we do it again? And you go, oh, we'll get to it. And then I said, no, I know we'll get to it, but when are we going to get to it? Like, don't just say you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Tell me when you're going to do it. And he goes, oh, we'll look at the calendar. We'll figure out something. And I knew right then that was his number one issue, is saying he's going to do it, but doesn't follow through. And I'm sorry for the road noise, but we are on the road.
It's a subpar road.
And I knew it when he said that. I said, I know in my mind you are not going to do this again because you had 2 Saturdays and you're done and you're not going to plan
And
together.
did I?
No.
Yes, I did. It got done.
No, I don't think it did.
It's done.
I think there's a bag in the garage still. You haven't.
No
gone
bag in
through.
the garage.
There's a bag in the garage.
Go Nation, it got done.
Go Nation.
I delivered.
Donation.
Go Nation.
thought
Get
you said
organized,
go.
Nation. Work with me, woman.
I don't even understand that.
Oh
But anyway,
my gosh.
So I would say tip number 3 is just don't get your spouse to say yes, he'll do it, but to actually get a day scheduled on the calendar that you know he or she is free. I'll give you an example. We have a lot of things that you need to sell, right?
Yep.
And a lot of these things are going to require going on eBay because they're higher end products.
Yep.
And that's going to take time.
And that's more of a phased approach because you have to clean them, get it organized.
Pictures.
Right? Get the pictures.
Descriptions.
Research some stuff, and then post. So, yeah, it's a methodical, phased approach.
That's right. So I have actually scheduled on the calendar a Saturday that
You guys seeing a trend? I don't know what a relaxing Saturday looks like.
whatever. Just so you know, anything that we're selling, anything that we've bought as our own family budget, I have actually motivated to sell and get rid of things, and I'm giving him the money even if our family budget bottom, because I care more about getting the clutter out than I do the money. So that's another bonus tip, whatever number we're on.
If we only had someone to keep us organized on our
we're not organized on this tip too, Steve. That's overrated. Okay, so back to my, I think, third tip, whatever, was to get it on the calendar. And I put it on the calendar for a Saturday for us to sit down and do that. Now, I've made no other bargaining chips for that day other than the things that he sells. He gets to keep the money. Now, he might get less motivated along the way, and I may have to throw in some things to keep you motivated. But that is helpful. Also, another thing, tip number 4, maybe,
I think,
is to remind your spouse when their work day is coming up. And yes,
when the scheduled day is coming.
When the scheduled day is coming up that you're going to work, and don't just like wake up that morning and say, let's do it. He needs to be reminded, even though it's on his calendar, he needs to like mentally be prepared that it's coming, because it stresses him out if he is busy all the time, which I think, really, to be honest, anyone who's busy all the time, it would stress you out.
When you run 100-hour work weeks, you want to decompress.
Yeah, and so like maybe on that Friday night, he does nothing and he can do his own thing and relax, where Saturday might be more of a work day. So I've got to keep that in mind about how he functions, and I think that's really important. Now, let's turn the tables on me.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because I want to be fair. So, do you think I need much motivation to do responsibilities or clean out things around the house?
No, I mean, it's part of your DNA, right? That's what you do. That's clearly your strength. And so, not a lot of motivation is required. I'm trying to think of the areas that I have to ask, multiple times. I'll think about it in a second.
Yes, he didn't know any. But I'm being open here. I'm being open.
That's why you're you, girl.
And a lot of times, like, if he does ask me, he doesn't communicate it in the way that I need him to. Like, he'll just say it in passing, and then I don't have a place to mentally or write it down or put it in my phone, and I don't catch it. Like, that there's a net
No
there.
No stress for me. I don't generate stress.
So that's another tip.
I don't generate it.
That's another tip. Your 6th tip.
I'm as easy as they come.
I'm still talking.
See, just in passing.
But I was still talking.
Hey, did you ever check on... Oh, no, I haven't done that yet. Oh, okay, just checking. See? There's no stress in that.
Well, you got to make sure that you're not telling your honey to do these honeydews verbally and just passing, because our short-term memory holds about 10 items. So when you're getting bombarded with 20 or 30, little tasks a day to do, things that pop in your mind, there's no way our brains can hold that. It's always like you're trying to remember what you keep forgetting, and it's very difficult. So when you are telling your honey about honeydews that need to be done, or that they need some place to catch it, it could be a paper calendar, it could be a to-do list, and it could be an app on their phone. It could be maybe you sit down once a week and you go through sort of what the plan is for the week. Just be careful about verbally telling people as they pass and you expecting them to remember it and then get frustrated when they don't, because they've got to have some kind of catching net for all those thoughts and ideas that's coming through your head. The 7th tip, I think we're on.
I don't know. I think you might have skipped a couple.
I might have skipped a couple. Is don't overbook. We have a lot of responsibilities with ministry at our church, our kids, our grandkids, my dad now,
the company,
business, and there's just a lot of moving parts. I'm not saying that we're not any busier than somebody else, but we try to keep it, or I keep it, because since I control our schedule, I try to keep evening activities no more than 3 activities a week that are evening. And that is because we could easily get 5 to 6. And if you're busy all day and then you go 6 nights, 5 nights a week, all night. How do you get your own stuff done? How do you find time for the projects that we need to get done?
Or just decompress a little to recharge your batteries and reattack the day, right?
Yes. So be careful not to overschedule. Sometimes I have to put little projects for honeydews, because we're talking for honeydews. I have to look at the calendar and schedule them 2 or 3 weeks out, because I just know it's too much on our plate. But if I don't do it, it'll never get done. And there's a saying that I say every time with our company to a lot of our clients is, there's a difference between planning to do something and scheduling it. And people plan all the time. Like, I'm going to do it. I'll get around to it. Oh, I need to do it. Oh, I forgot to do it. But then they never actually schedule it. And the reality of that actually getting done is really low unless you're highly motivated.
Yep.
And so it's just really good to actually put a date to it, just like you would a doctor or dental appointment for yourself, to make sure it gets done. All right. Anything you want to add before we go to the next thing?
No. I think
so. Go back and listen to all of our tips. They're not necessarily in tip number 1, 2, 3 order, but a lot of good information. We're doing this one on the fly, actually on the road.
Just saying.
Flies are disgusting.
There's a lot to say here on this topic.
There's a lot to say. So have you thought of anything that motivates me that you have to get after me for?
Mine's more moving of funds. So when I say, hey, is this money here? No, not yet. It's like tap, tap, tap. It's like 5 taps on your Chase app or whatever it is. Thank you, Hope.
But I'm always, he asked me for something right then, like to move and transfer money.
Hey.
And he doesn't manage the money, so he doesn't know where to put it and where to take it from.
First world problems.
And I just don't do it as fast as
I'm just saying,
he wants.
She asked, guys, right? She asked, is there anything?
Okay, start asking me before you go to the store, and then I'll be able to maybe give me 24-hour notice.
Fair enough.
This is a problem with us.
I think we just ripped that Band-Aid right off.
It was hurting.
Ripped it off.
I'm going on. Okay, we're done with motivations of each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Manipulation. Right,
no,
guys?
motivation.
Right, guys? Manipulations.
How to motivate your spouse to do their honeydews.
Ridiculous.
There's a lot. I can give you a list of encouragers.
I'm just going to drive.
Just drive. Okay. So last week's winner of our giveaway, we gave away a couple of these little plastic envelopes. They actually have a snap on the front and pockets. Love these things. I keep these in my purse for organizing coupons, cash. Like I keep one for spending money and one for
those things just jump up and down and spit out nickels all day long.
They jump up and spit. What?
For all the money we save with the coupons you have in there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're income generators.
Yeah, they're income generators. That's right.
You.
So you want to get these. I get these at Home Depot. No, I'm not. Office Depot. And we're giving away 2 of these from last week to, what is that name? Make sure I'm pronouncing it right. Wendy Reddick. I believe it's pronounced correctly. And congratulations, Wendy. And we're going to be, actually, these are already mailed out to you. So you should be getting them probably the next couple of days. And I added some goodies to the envelope as well for you. So enjoy. All right. Giveaway this week is going to be these little cute little things. These are erasable magnetic label starter kit. And so if you have any kind of wire, if I can get a good picture there, any kind of wire drawer, cabinet, or refrigerator, they're just labels that you can put on things, and instead of they stick, they magnetize. These come with, I'm not sure how many's in here. It's a starter kit, a pack of 5, and it comes with a pen in there that you can erase with, and just a really cool, I think these run about $10 at Container Store. So I want to hear how you motivate your spouse. That's going to be how you can win these, by leaving a comment down below. Tell us what tricks, and maybe this maybe it doesn't have to be a spouse. Maybe even it could be your kids. I mean, just motivation.
So who out there wants to take the over and under on how many of the tips provided will be manipulative in nature? I'm just saying. We're going to see.
Okay, back to me. Back to me.
That is totally not fair.
He is totally out of the...
Wow.
Out of Tip Tuesday.
Wow.
Okay. All right. So if you're going to get into the drawing for that, make sure you leave any kind of comment below, and that will announce you next week on Tip Tuesday if you've won. And okay, so this week's Tip Tuesday tool of the week. Obviously, I couldn't bring my Tip Tuesday box.
No.
So let's pretend grabbing in it, and oh, there it is. I am giving away this week to anyone who wants a copy. We have a really well put together document for car organization. It is everything you need to think of that you could possibly want to put in your car or use for emergencies, for convenience, for practicality, of everything you need for car organization. And I think it's an awesome document. It's like a checkoff list that you would go through and basically stock your car with these things. For example, keeping a old sheet in the car for when you get pot plants or when you have a tire that's blown. We had this one time.
Folded up and nicely organized in the trunk.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yes. And then when you need it, you open it up and yeah. And you don't
just the visual of that was,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good boy. So helpful.
So helpful.
So helpful.
Here to help.
Here to help. You're my little helper.
I'm your little helper. Here to increase those numbers. Because when I am on Tip Tuesday, the numbers skyrocket.
It's just swelling, guys. It's so swelling.
It's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, so if you want that, you can also get that just by leaving a comment down below, and then we'll message you and be able to give you that document. It may be within, over the week. We'll be checking on it this week. All right, so next Tip Tuesday is going to be about budgeting, and I'm a pretty good budgeter.
No, you are a phenomenally spectacular budgeter.
These cars are too close together. I don't like that.
Okay.
So I have to be safe when I'm doing Tip Tuesday. Okay, so budgeting, yes, I actually have tried different things, and I actually enjoy doing a budget on an Excel spreadsheet. That's the simplest way that I can do it, that I just really love, and you don't have to pay for anything. So we're going to talk about budgeting next week and give you some tips on doing that. And it's, it's going to, I'll tell you what, we've paid off a lot of debt, and we've...
it's all about the Microsoft Excel spreadsheets.
I don't think that, okay, it's all about discipline, babe, but plug that right in there. Okay, also, each week I like to highlight something about our Get Organized services, and this week I want to highlight our garage organization. Temperatures within the next 2 weeks will probably start to fall during the day, and we are going to be opening back up starting, I think, 1st of October, garage organization. So all those clients we've postponed, or all those inquiries that we said we're going to have to put you off a little bit, now's the time to get your garage scheduled. And it's incredible what the organizers can do. They can install shelving, they can recommend if there's any major stuff that needs to be done, like putting racks over the top. We can get a handyman out there and do that. But let us come space plan your garage. Let us figure out what you want to keep, if you want to get both cars in there or one car, or you want to keep your bikes in there. We have great ideas for bike organization, kids soccer balls, water guns, swimming stuff. I mean, it's just going to be a different garage, and I think you'll love it. So call our office, message us down below if you're interested in getting your garage organized. We can come in and even give you the ideas, and you can do the work. It works both ways. So that is our service we're highlighting this week. And well, thank you for being on Tip Tuesday and being a safe driver.
Yeah, I'm honored.
Allowing me to do this with you. I really enjoy being on with you. I'd kiss you right now, but I don't want to distract. Nope, not
There's the cheek. See, guys, manipulation.
Just had to stick it out there, that cheek, just a little bit. Just a little bit. All right, well, guys, thank you for joining me on Tip Tuesday and joining Keith on Tip Tuesday.
Right. Keep those numbers up, guys, whenever you know I'm going to be a part of it. We got to keep that tradition going.
Just swelling.
Got to keep the tradition going.
Oh, it's giving me a headache. It's giving me a headache. All right, guys. Well, if you guys need any organizational services in the Dallas, Fort Worth, or Oklahoma City area, please feel free to call us. We've got plenty of tips and ideas and can physically come in and do the work. Have a great Tuesday, guys. Bye-bye.